Hello and welcome to Carol Nash Inside Bikes. We are riding in winter. It looks like a beautiful sunny day now, but this morning I set off from home. It was -3 degrees and let's be honest, it was a bit grim. There's a lot of people who love all year riding. I'm one of them. There are times when it's absolutely spectacular like right now, but there's also times when it's not quite the best. One of the things that makes a big difference though is the bike you're riding. Now I have been riding this Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer. So this is the top of the range rally bike in the Triumph Tiger range. The Rally Explorer is basically the same as the Rally Pro, except that it has a bigger tank and a few more bells and whistles like blind spot detectors and things like that. It's a big old bike, a really big bike. 260 odd kilos with a full tank, but it does give you that really nice commanding riding position. You sit up high, the seat is 875 mil high in its low position. You've got a big screen in front of you, wide bars, the bike feels big, and I like that kind of bike. I like that kind of bike in winter too. The only thing is that sometimes when you're on a very big bike in winter it can feel a little bit sketchy if the grip levels are a bit lacking. But so far it's been good. There's a lot of salt on the roads. It's been quite grimy, but it's been grippy enough to ride. This bike is a good winter bike. Now, it is a very expensive bike, let's be honest. It's 19,500. This is the top of the range bike in the Tiger range. But you do get a lot for your money. You do get that lovely 1160cc triple engine, 150 horsepower, which is probably about 149 more than you need on a day like this when it's really sketchy out there. So in winter, when the conditions are like this, you're not going to be able to test the bike for what it can really do. But what you can do is test how good the bike is as a winter bike. And this bike is really good. The engine is lovely. There's different throttle maps, different suspension settings because the suspension is Showa semi-active suspension. You can select traction levels, ABS levels, all sorts of things there. The electronic brain of this bike is immense. And then there's the big 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch back. Might sound like a bit more of an off-road setup, and this is the more off-roady version of the two Tiger 1200 families. You have this, the Rally family, and the GT, which is the road-going 19-inch front, slightly shorter suspension travel. But even though this is an off-road-ish adventure bike, it is fantastic on roads. That big front wheel doesn't make it any less roadworthy at all. I found it really pleasant to ride. It steers well, it's accurate, and it steers quite quickly for such a big front as well. Part of it is the suspension, which is really good. It keeps the bike in really nice, stable poise all the time. You do, of course, if you brake hard, you can feel the suspension travel there, but on most kind of riding, the bike just feels very planted and nice. Brakes are good. They should be. They're Brembo Stylema monoblock brakes, so you don't get much better than that on road bikes. It's a shaft drive, which makes it a little bit less bothersome, especially in winter. Cleaning this bike is a bit of a faff, like all bikes are. There's lots of nooks and crannies and you can't really get around that. And when the roads are so salty as they are now, you do have to spend a fair bit of time cleaning it. But there are certain things that I really like about this bike as a winter bike. One of them is the screen. That screen is one of the best I have ever had on a motorcycle. It's quite a big one. I've had it on the top position. It's very easy to move up and down if you want. I've had it in the top position, and it takes all the road crud, all the salt, all the mess, and leaves your head and your helmet in a bubble of clean air. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but my helmet visor is almost clean, whereas that screen is covered in salt and grime. And that just shows how well it protects you, the rider, from all that mess. And there's little deflectors on the side of it as well. The bodywork of the bike keeps some of the cold and dirt away from you. The hand guards are really nice to have in winter, as are the heated grips that this bike comes as standard with, and the heated seat. So all of those things make it a more palatable winter bike. Riding in winter, you ride in dark a lot of the time as well, and the lights on this thing are exceptional. The normal lights are fine, but then you also have the auxiliary lights if it gets really, really dark. That's excellent. You can see really clearly in the dark. The one thing that probably divides opinion on this bike is the rear radar and these blind spot detectors. So every time there's a car in your blind spot, if it's on the right hand detector light comes on the mirror, and on the left the same thing. It's one of those things that people probably wouldn't want to pay extra for just to have it. It could be seen as a bit of a gimmick. However, when you get used to it, it does become quite a useful tool, especially in the dark when you struggle to see around you, and these lights light up. They are very handy. One thing that's nice about this bike is the very big 30-litre fuel tank. That's nice at any time of the year, but in winter especially you don't want to be stopping for petrol too often. And that 30 litres tank will give you, depending on how you ride, it could give you about 300 miles range on this bike, which is not too shabby at all. So that's the Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer in a nutshell. It's a lovely bike in summer, and it's a lovely bike in winter for slightly different reasons. Of course, like I said, in winter you're not going to test it to its limit. I probably wouldn't test it to its limit in summer either, but certainly in winter you're riding very cautiously. But the bike really lends itself to that as well. It's got good protection from all the elements, it's got lovely features to make you feel all nice and comfy. Even more comfy after I plugged in my heated kit, and it does the job well. Yeah, a winning winter bike.